The Agricultural Interest by Charles Dickens. The present government, having shown itself to be particularly clever in its management of indictments for conspiracy, cannot do better, we think, keeping in its administrative eye the pacification of some of its most influential and most unruly supporters, than indict the whole manufacturing interest of the country for a conspiracy against the agricultural interest. As the jury ought to be beyond impeachment, the panel might be chosen among the Duke of Buckingham's tenants, with the Duke of Buckingham himself as foreman, and, to the end that the country might be quite satisfied with the judge, and have ample security beforehand for his moderation and impartiality, it would be desirable, perhaps, to make such a slight change in the working of the law, a mere nothing to a conservative government, bent upon its end, as would enable the question to be tried before an ecclesiastical court, with the Bishop of Exeter presiding. The Attorney General for Ireland, turning his sword into a plowshare, might conduct the prosecution, and Mr. Cobden and the other traversers might adopt any ground of defense they chose, or prove or disprove anything they pleased, without being embarrassed by the least anxiety or doubt in reference to the verdict. That the country in general is in a conspiracy against this sacred but unhappy agricultural interest, there can be no doubt. It is not alone within the walls of Covent Garden Theatre, or the Free Trade Hall at Manchester, or the Town Hall at Birmingham, that the cry, "Repeal the Corn Laws," is raised. It may be heard, moaning at night, through the straw-littered wards of refuges for the destitute. It may be read in the gaunt and famished faces which make our streets terrible. It is muttered in the thankful grace pronounced by haggard wretches over their felon fare in jails. It is inscribed in dreadful characters upon the walls of fever hospitals, and may be plainly traced in every record of mortality. All of which proves that there is a vast conspiracy afoot against the unfortunate agricultural interest. They who run, even upon railroads, may read of this conspiracy. The old stagecoachman was a farmer's friend. He wore top boots, understood cattle, fed his horses upon corn, and had a lively personal interest in malt. The engine driver's garb and sympathies and tastes belonged to the factory. His fustian dress, besmeared with coal dust and begrimed with soot, his oily hands, his dirty face, his knowledge of machinery, all point him out as one devoted to the manufacturing interest. Fire and smoke and red-hot cinders follow in his wake. He has no attachment to the soil, but travels on a road of iron, furnace-wrought. His warning is not conveyed in the fine old Saxon dialect of our glorious forefathers, but in a fiendish yell. He never cries "Yehip" with agricultural lungs, but jerks forth a manufactured shriek from a brazen throat. Where is the agricultural interest represented? From what phase of our social life has it not been driven to the undue setting up of its false rival? Are the police agricultural? The watchmen were. They wore woolen nightcaps to a man. They encouraged the growth of timber by patriotically adhering to staves and rattles of immense size. They slept every night in boxes, which were but another form of the celebrated wooden walls of Old England. They never woke up till it was too late, in which respect you might have thought them very farmers. How is it with the police? Their buttons are made at Birmingham. A dozen of their truncheons would poorly furnish forth a watchman's staff. They have no wooden walls to repose between, and the crowns of their hats are plated with cast iron. Are the doctors agricultural? Let Messrs. Morrison and Mote of the Hygiene Establishment at King's Cross, London, reply. Is it not, upon the constant showing of those gentlemen, an ascertained fact that the whole medical profession have united to depreciate the worth of the universal vegetable medicines? And is this opposition to vegetables an exaltation of steel and iron instead, on the part of the regular practitioners, capable of any interpretation but one? Is it not a distinct renouncement of the agricultural interest and a setting up of the manufacturing interest instead? Do the professors of the law at all fail in their truth to the beautiful maid whom they ought to adore? Inquire of the Attorney General for Ireland. Inquire of that honorable and learned gentleman, whose last public act was to cast aside the grey goosequill, an article of agricultural produce, and take up the pistol, which, under the system of percussion locks, has not even a flint to connect it with farming, or put the question to a still higher legal functionary, who, on the same occasion, when he should have been a reed, inclining here and there, as adverse gales of evidence disposed him, was seen to be a manufactured image on the seat of justice, cast by power in most impenetrable brass. The world is too much with us in this manufacturing interest, early and late. That is the great complaint and the great truth. It is not so with the agricultural interest, or what passes by that name. It never thinks of the suffering world, or sees it, or cares to extend its knowledge of it, or, so long as it remains a world, cares anything about it. All those whom Dante placed in the first pit or circle of the doleful regions might have represented the agricultural interest in the present parliament, or at quarter sessions, or at meetings of the farmers' friends, or anywhere else. But that is not the question now. It is conspired against, and we have given a few proofs of the conspiracy, as they shine out of various classes engaged in it. An indictment against the whole manufacturing interest need not be longer, surely, than the indictment in the case of the Crown against O'Connell and others. Mr. Cobden may be taken as its representative, as indeed he is, by one consent already. There may be no evidence, but that is not required. A judge and jury are all that is needed. And the government know where to find them, or they gain experience to little purpose.